Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar is one of the biggest stories, if not the biggest story coming out of WrestleMania. So obviously we need to break that down into bits and bits. That kind of sounded stupid, but I don't care. I did not like this match. This was the second hiccup that I mentioned, and the bigger hiccup out of the two. I didn't like the idea the Undertaker lost the match, first off. So that on its own is enough for me to have a huge negative going for this pay-per-view. And I didn't like the idea that Brock Lesnar did it. And I didn't like the match. So there really wasn't anything positive about this segment. Yeah, I could say a positive thing is that there was a huge shock, but I've never been somebody who likes shock value for the sake of shock value. I like it if it has a purpose to it, and if I actually like the shock that is supposed to be making that kind of an impact. Undertaker losing is not an impact that I really wanted to see. And if it would have been anybody losing, anybody beating The Undertaker for this, I would have accepted a couple other people, namely John Cena. I think that I would have been perfectly fine with him winning in comparison to this. I mean, I would have rather Undertaker win. But I just didn't like this match at all. And obviously, if there are issues with injuries that came into play, then that's one of the reasons why it wasn't any better than what it was. But maybe I just, I don't know. If they would have had a good build to this, maybe I would have given it a little bit more of a credibility. Maybe it would have even been worse. I don't know. I didn't like the build up to this. I didn't like anything about it. I didn't even really like Undertaker's entrance this time. It wasn't anything special to me. And this whole segment was just a major downfall for this whole pay-per-view. The two reasons why I didn't give this a 3 out of 3 are the John Cena Bray Wyatt match, which in comparison to this wasn't as big of a deal, but this huge blow to this event. And it's really a shame. I really hope that this is not Undertaker's last match, because what a shitty match to go out on. Just not a fan of this at all. I'm not necessarily as bitter about it as a lot of other people seem to be. And maybe that's just because going into this match I really didn't care. So I didn't really have like high hopes for it. But damn, don't like it at all. Lego?
I'm going to be doing an article on this for smarkatmoment.com, so I'm not going to get too much into what I think of the decision of the streak, but as far as the match goes and who ended it, that's what I take biggest issue with. And if this is going to be the final match for the Undertaker streak, you want it to be something special. Like you, I didn't like the entrance, especially what Undertaker's wearing. I don't know if anyone else felt the same way, but his outfit was goofy as shit. Not as goofy as Triple H's fucking weird setup, but goofy. Yeah, the match was just so lackluster, and it needed to be so much more. And it might be that The Undertaker got injured during it. People say after some takedown that he got concussed, so that could play into it. Or it could just be that these guys suck, and when they pair up with each other, I mean, not everyone has the right chemistry. So, overall, I'm just disappointed. I don't think the streak should have ever ended, but at least there's some legitimacy when Brock Lesnar ends it, as opposed to a guy who could have just been a flash in the pan.
Peyton?
This match was definitely not up to the standard that people have grown to expect of Undertaker matches the last number of years. I think that might have a lot to do with expectations. Undertaker's getting old. Brock Lesnar is not typically a guy who's going to go out there and have any kind of clinic either. I still think there was a mystique going into this match that they did not deliver on with the build, and I think that's why this has come off most upsetting. No one thought Brock Lesnar had a chance, and it wasn't because Brock Lesnar shouldn't have a chance. It's because Brock Lesnar didn't look like he had a freaking chance. He was made to have no offense practically throughout this entire build. So I think that's what made him winning that much weirder. I don't have a lot of offense to it being Brock Lesnar. I think Undertaker was less worried about putting someone over for the future as much as he was putting over someone that he respected. Yeah, I would have loved to have seen him gone out there and have a final match with someone like, well, not saying final, but, you know, have the streak broken by someone like a Roman Reigns or something like that. It'd be fantastic, but at the same time, Brock could still benefit from that. I mean, I think this more than makes up for those dumb losses that Brock Lesnar has had since returning, like the one to John Cena. I think all of that is null now, saying that Brock Lesnar is the guy who broke the streak. He can go on to pretty much do absolutely anything that he wants right now. Match did stink. It's unfortunate. I really can't complain about it too much. I wish they'd maybe a little shorter, perhaps. I still thought Undertaker's entrance was cool. I liked his jacket. I liked the voodoo master look to it. It reminded me sort of like a Baron Samedi thing. I don't know if I said that name correctly. Maybe Tony will yell at me. The James Bond villain, Samedi.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of reminded me of something that he would wear, which I thought was cool. Very fitting considering they were in New Orleans. Oh my God, we didn't even talk about Bray Wyatt's entrance. That shit was awesome. They had the fire dancer and the band came out wearing the masks like I said they would.
Yeah, good call on that
cool.
one.
That was awesome. There was a lot of great music performances throughout the night. Much better than we had freaking last year. Ooh, in living color. Oh, yay.
Oh, Puff Daddy. Or P. Diddy. Or what the fuck's he calling himself now?
Puff Daddy. It's
Puff Combs. Something.
Yes, why the fuck not?
Puffy Combs.
I think it's P Money.
Pig Piss.
P Money Diddy Daddy.
Yeah.
That was the thing from South Park.
At least Kid Rock wasn't there. Thank goodness.
Puff Lion.
But isn't that kind of odd, though, that Bray Wyatt gets the cool entrance and Undertaker's is just kind of like meh?
I thought Undertaker's was still pretty cool. I think last year's just blew me away so much, especially seeing it in person now that this one was kind of I think they went a little overboard with the dry ice that you didn't get to see all the caskets, which kind of ruined the effect. I think if we actually did see every casket, it would have been awesome rather than just like a third of them. But I think with the concept they were going for, like going through all the people that he had in the streak, I thought that was really neat. I do think that the delivery was just a little bit off. I think him turning around and setting the final casket on fire, that was a really cool effect. And even just him opening it when he first was walking past it with just his mystical powers, just throwing his hand over and then it opened up. That was neat.
Wasn't it funny how so many people had this reaction of like, they skipped CM Punk, and it was like, no, that said it. That was on camera. They just had way too much of the fucking fog.
Mm-hmm.
And people are like, they did that because they don't fucking want CM Punk to be on the cat. Like, oh, shut up.
Yeah, shut the fuck up, seriously. It's just annoying now.
Yeah, goddammit, Troop.
Fucking Troop.
Drew, Undertaker and Lesnar.
I'm not as, I don't know, maybe this is because I actually really enjoyed the show this year. I don't know. I'm not as down on this match as other people are, and it's not because I have Lesnar on my fantasy team, and I don't even know why I even had him on in the first place, because even I didn't think he was going to win. I honestly think he had zero chance of winning going in. And you mentioned something about, the shock value. It's, sometimes it's, they don't need shock values on WrestleMania. This might be the most shocking thing that's ever happened at WrestleMania. I don't know if there's anything that would trump this, but this was definitely one of the most shocking things. When it comes to the match, it's kind of like the John Cena Bray Wyatt match. I didn't think it was amazing, but I didn't think it was too bad. I was able to sit through it, and I wasn't really entertained, but I was like into it per se, because it's like, oh man. And the whole build up to the match was the whole build up was just essentially, hey, Brock Lesnar can F5 Taker and he can pin him in 3 seconds, and that's literally the only build they had for Brock Lesnar possibly winning the match. So that was the main reason that made me believe that he wasn't going to win. Once he won, I'm actually okay with him winning. It makes him one of the greatest superstars in WWE history. He's the one that broke the streak, and he's only MMA champion, WWE champion, he's the NCAA champion now, and just all that stuff that just makes him look like the biggest badass possibly in WWE history. And and I think Peyton said this. I guess Taker wanted to put over someone he respects, and I honestly think that's true. And now there's reports going on that Taker had a concussion at the very beginning of the match when something. And again, I didn't think the match was too bad when it came to match quality. So I'm a lot of respect was given to me for Taker for working that match, especially that it might have been the second longest match of the night. It was a long ass match, and God, the shock value and just like all the fans afterwards just going just quiet and booing. I thought that was just insane, just the way they pulled it off.
Time stood still for a moment.
Yes,
time literally stood still.
Mm-hmm.
my legit reaction to it was that holy shit, did this really just happen? Like I'm just like, what the fuck? And then like 10 seconds later, I'm like, oh wait, I had Brock Lesnar on my fantasy team, so I went around jumping around my room like, oh fuck yeah, let's go.
I
And
think one of the weirdest things was just that they didn't play his music after he won.
I don't know. I think.
Oh, that was on point.
Yeah, that was on
I
point.
know it was deliberate, but it just felt so weird, and I think that's why certain idiots were like, "Oh, they screwed Taker in real life."
No, man, because see, this is what I picture. I picture like even the sound guy like sitting there, like, and all of a sudden the match ends, and even he's just so driven by shock, like he can't even lift his finger to press play on the music. He's just like,
right.
huh?
He had his hand over Undertaker's music and was getting ready to hit that, and then he was just kind of like, wait, shit, is that supposed to happen? Like,
yeah, until the 21-1 thing posted up on like all the Timetrons they had around the arena, I was like, no way. And then as soon as I saw that, I'm like, oh shit. Just like,
the only thing that confuses me though is from what people who were there live said, the 21-1 actually went up instantly.
I don't know, maybe they just didn't paint it over on the television side. Now, I don't know if the reports are true that people started walking out after this match ended. Does anyone have like any idea of that? Those people say that was true?
Stallman told us that.
Yeah, Stallman told us that. I don't know how true that is because it still felt like it looked like they still had a pretty damn packed crowd for the very end of the show.
I wouldn't be surprised
I'm
if
sure
people still did it.
I'm sure people were walking up the stairs going, "Oh man, I'm so angry." Oh wait, I'd be an idiot to leave WrestleMania back.
Well, and to me, I think this is the greatest pay-per-view I've ever seen. I've seen live that WWE ever put out, so I'm really glad I got to be able to watch it. But it's just this whole era that, man, it's over. And like they said, it was the end of the era, even though 2 years ago it was the end of an era. But this is another end of an era. And the question is whether or not does Taker come back and wrestle again? Like who? And the thing is, if he wrestles at another WrestleMania, it's not going to be for the streak. It's going to be kind of like a retirement match at this point, pretty much. So who would be the perfect guy for Taker to finish off with if he does decide to wrestle one more? And that's I think that's just a big question going forward if you want him to wrestle again.
I think you need 2 matches. I think you need to do Sting next year. I think you do need to do Sting next year.
Fuck off with Sting. I don't want to see it.
A double retirement match. I saw some people say something about it, and the reports are still going around like, oh, Sting signed with WWE. I mean, fuck that's been going on for like 5 months now. It's fucking annoying.
I guarantee if we actually got the Sting match set in stone, everyone would just shit over it anyway.
It might be, but I still would like to see the build up to it.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting.
And
I couldn't give a rat's ass about it. I think it's just going to be a shit match if it ever happens, and everyone just wants to see the build for it. No one actually wants to see the match.
Well, I think there's one other thing that you need to see, and that's John Cena. And I think that should be his final match.
Yeah.
I don't know if Undertaker has 2 matches left in him, or if he even wants to do that, because this could have just been what he wanted. I mean, and if he wanted to go out this way and he wanted it to be losing to Brock Lesnar and this is a good enough match and he doesn't want to pop up again, we have no right to really tell him to, go against his own wishes. But as a huge Undertaker fan who's been a huge Undertaker fan ever since I got into wrestling, that's not how I want to see the end of his career.
Okay.
So
and I understand that. I understand why people give off this idea like they didn't want to see the streak end. I was perfectly fine with the streak ending because I got lucky. I know most of the fucking first like 10 streak matches were terrible from what I've been told. So at least I grew up in an era where Taker's matches were good at WrestleMania. So I was completely fine with it. He's given us so many good matches over the year that hey, it's at this point it's not that big of a deal if he loses one.
Any other last thoughts before we move on to the Divas match?
Can we not talk about the Divas match?
I'm sure we'll make that pretty quick.
Well, everyone was quiet when the Divas match came on. Can we just be quiet during the next segment?
Drew, what was the last thing you wanted to say?
Oh, I was just saying that I think never mind. I'll say it next segment.
Alrighty, next up, Divas Invitational Championship match.